If you ever wondered if a Michelin-style burger is truly better than a home-style burger, well then you and I are the same, and we're gonna figure it out together because I made both of them to see which is better. Our Michelin burger has homemade buns, burger patties, kimchi chili crisp mayo, shoestring sweet potatoes, and pickles, all made from scratch. Whereas our home-style burger is mostly made up of store-bought stuff. In the end, we'll figure out which burger is worth making at home by comparing it in 3 categories. The time it takes to make each burger, how do they look compared to one another, and how do they taste? So follow along and let's get to cooking. We'll first get to work on our home-style burger, which is a smash burger made from freshly ground short rib, and it'll have a burger sauce as well. Let's first get to work on our burger sauce. In a small container, we'll toss in 115 grams of mayo, followed by 34 grams of ketchup, 34 grams of yellow mustard, half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, which for some reason my smoked paprika did not want to fall into the bowl. There we go. And half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Give that sucker a mixing and you now have a nice burger sauce that tastes amazing.
Oh yeah, that's actually fun.
Next, we'll get to work on our smash patties. And don't worry, I don't have a meat grinder either. Instead, we're going to be using a food processor. More on that shortly. The type of meat we'll be using here is short ribs. With a knife, we're going to be cutting little 1-inch chunks, trimming any excess fat and cutting around the bones. This is actually very easy to do, and in the end, you should have nice little pieces like this, which are almost ready to grind up. I'm going to next grab a sheet pan with some parchment paper, spreading out all of our short rib bits evenly, and then I'm gonna toss them in the freezer for 20 to 30 minutes. This will help firm them up, making it easier to turn them into ground meat with our food processor. After 20 to 30 minutes, you can see they're looking nice and firm. I'm gonna next grab our food processor and toss them in batches, giving them an aggressive 20-second blending. They should look something like this in the end. Nice little pellets, and if you squeeze them together, they should form into a ball. Now, in order to shape these patties, I'm gonna grab a digital scale and weigh down 3 ounces of our ground meat. From there, I'm gonna form the meat into balls using as little pressure as possible. You don't wanna squeeze them together, and in the end, they should look something like this. And for our home-style burgers, we'll be using 2 3-ounce patties. And now we're ready to make this simple home-style burger. In a large pan preheated to medium heat, throw down about half a tablespoon of butter and toast your buns. The buns I'm using here are potato buns from my grocery store's bakery section. Once they're nice and toasted like so, I'll move them over to the side and set our pan to high heat, drizzling in a little bit of a high smoke point oil. Now I'm going to grab one of our unsmashed patties, sprinkling a healthy amount of salt on it, and then tossing it salt side down onto our pan along with our other unsmashed patty as well. Now with a spatula, spray a little Pam on it and then press down on your patty until you've smashed it down pretty thin. Now admittedly, my pan was not hot enough here, but that's okay because I'm going to crank it up to high heat and continue to cook it on one side for around 3 minutes or until we start to see some good crispy browning and our smashed patties are around 85 to 90% fully cooked. I'll flip both of our patties and give them a nice slice of American cheese. After another minute, they should have melted nicely, and it's time to plate our home-style burger. I'll spread a nice layer of our burger sauce on both the bottom and top bun, and then I'll stack both of our patties on top of one another, closing it off with our top bun and basking in its juicy glory. Now, before we can take a bite of this sucker and figure out how good it tastes, there are still 2 things we have to do. The first is if you're enjoying this video, I would greatly appreciate if you could please hit the like button. These cooking videos take a long time to make, and if you want to support this channel and help me do more of it, I would greatly appreciate if you hit the like and subscribe. The second thing we have to do is make our Michelin-style burger, which is easier said than done because there are a lot of things we have to make from scratch. But before we can get into the cooking, I would like to clarify that I myself am not a Michelin star chef. I'm instead recreating to the best of my abilities a Michelin star inspired burger. I'm specifically using this article from the Michelin Guide's website about Burger 101s and a few restaurants they suggested. I'll leave the link below in case you guys want to check out the article, and if you're curious, the 2 restaurant burgers that my burger is inspired from are from Miller and Lux from Chef Tyler Florence and Mott Street from Chef Edward Kim. Now with that clarification out of the way, let's get to cooking. We'll first get to work on our kimchi chili crisp mayo. In a container, toss in 115 grams of Kewpie mayo, followed by 30 grams of gochujang, 50 grams of drained kimchi, 8 grams of kimchi juice, and 12 grams of chili crisp. With an immersion blender, stick it in there and blend away, making sure to fully break down and incorporate all your kimchi and chili crisp solids. In the end, it should look something like this, and yes, it tastes absolutely amazing. Wow. Next, let's make some pickled pickles. You'll grab 1 large cucumber and my favorite finger slicer, a mandolin. Set it to your desired thickness and then start slicing away your cucumbers. I went with something that looks more or less like this. Once your cucumbers are sliced, move them into a high-sided container, followed by 3 cloves of garlic that's been lightly crushed, a healthy bunch of fresh dill, half a teaspoon of chili flakes, and 1 teaspoon of whole black pepper. Set your cucumbers to the side and grab a small pot to which you'll pour in 1 cup of water, followed by 1 cup of distilled white vinegar, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 1 tablespoon of salt. Hit it with high heat until the liquid starts to boil, and then pour it over your cucumbers, making sure to mix it completely and soaking your cutting board as well.
I spelled.
And now you have a quick pickle, which once fully cooled should look something like this. And yes, they also do taste amazing. Now let's tackle our homemade potato buns, and this recipe is pretty close to Brian Lagerstrom's recipe. I changed a few things, but I still want to give him proper credit. We'll first need 1 russet potato. I'm gonna peel the skin off and then chop it into 1/2-inch cubes, tossing it into a microwave-safe bowl along with 1.5 tablespoons of water, leaving a loose lid on top of it before throwing it in the microwave for 6 minutes. 6 minutes later, our potatoes are fully cooked. I'm gonna toss them into a potato ricer, squeezing them through, giving us a beautiful lump-free cooked potato for our buns. Now in a large bowl, toss in 300 grams of bread flour, followed by 6 grams of instant yeast, 35 grams of sugar, and 5 grams of salt. With a whisk, mix everything together nice and evenly, and then toss in 75 grams of our cooled mashed potato, followed by 125 grams of water and 45 grams of melted butter. Now with our Danish whisk, mix it all together until you can't mix it anymore, and then with your hands, knead that sucker together. You're going to be kneading this for a while, around like 5 to 8 minutes, depending how good you are at it. In the end, your dough should look something like this, a nice toit ball. Now throw that dough into a bowl with a lid and let it rise for 1 hour. After an hour, you can see it's now doubled in size and it's full of air. Punch the air out of the dough and then move it onto your cutting board. With a digital scale, you'll next cut the dough into 100-gram segments. You should have 6 pieces in the end. Now tuck those pieces of dough in on itself and roll it into a ball with your cutting board like this. You should get this little ball, and underneath it you might find a hole like this. Try your best to pinch that hole shut and then close the seam further by rolling it onto a flat surface. Now after forming the rest of your dough balls, you should have 6 even pieces like this. I placed them on a baking sheet with parchment paper, and now I'm going to put another baking sheet on top of them to let them rest and double in size, around 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, they're now looking nice and plump. I'm gonna brush some melted butter on top of them and then sprinkle a little bit of sesame seeds before throwing them in an oven set to 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. 15 minutes later, our buns are looking beautifully, nicely golden brown. If that does not bring a smile to your face, I don't know what will. And here is the look inside as well. Nice and pillowy and smells absolutely delicious. If you've never had freshly baked bread, it really is something else. Now we're almost done prepping our ingredients. The last thing we have to do now is make our shoestring sweet potatoes. In order to make it, we'll first need one sweet potato, and like the russet earlier, we're gonna peel it and then we're gonna cut both the ends off and give ourselves a nice flat surface on the side to work on. That flat surface is gonna be for our mandolin slicer, to which we'll slice nice thin segments that look something like this. Now I'm gonna stack all of the segments together and cut another flat surface to work with, from which we'll slide along our mandolin slicer again, giving us nice long shoestring-like sweet potatoes. You can try to do this with a knife, but I personally lack those skills, so I'd recommend against it, honestly. Now I'm gonna grab a small pot, pouring in 3 cups of canola oil, making sure not to pass the halfway mark, and then I'm gonna grab some cornstarch. No! I got cornstarch all over my sink. And toss in half a tablespoon to 1 tablespoon into our sweet potatoes. I accidentally put way too much here, so I had to dust off most of it, but you want only a light coating of cornstarch on them. Now, once your oil hits 350 degrees Fahrenheit, drop your sweet potatoes in batches, frying them for 45 seconds to a minute. You will then strain them out and place them on a wire rack, hitting them with some salt, and now you have perfect shoestring sweet potatoes. And now we're like 90% done with making all of our ingredients for our Michelin style burger. The only thing we need to do is form our patties. I'm using the same short rib ground meat that we made for our home style burger. The only difference is that we're making 2 4-ounce patties and pre-shaping them versus doing a smash burger here. To form our patties, I'll start by pressing the short rib in on your hand and then rotating it, using your thumbs to press the edges in on itself, slowly shaping it into a burger patty. Make sure to also press in and dent the middle of the burger. This will prevent it from seizing up and forming a little round ball. And again, we're going to be making 2 patties for our Michelin burger. And now let's make this sucker. I'm gonna toast my homemade buns with butter the same as I did last time, and in a pan set to high heat, I'll drizzle a little bit of high smoke point oil and we're ready to cook our burger. Now I'm gonna salt one side of our burger, laying that side down into the hot pan. Now I'm gonna cook these patties for 3 to 4 minutes on this side, and then I'm gonna give them a flip and cook the other side for another 2 to 3 minutes as well. Right before taking them out of the pan, I'll throw down 1 slice of medium sharp cheddar and 1 slice of Monterey Jack cheese, letting it melt fully before we can now assemble our Michelin Star Burger. Now with our bottom bun, I'll throw down a little bit of our kimchi chili crisp sauce, followed by both of our burger patties, but I accidentally forgot to add the pickles, so now I'm gonna remove those burger patties and lay down 3 slices of our pickled pickles, followed by the burger patties on top of those. Next, I'm gonna place a generous amount of our crispy sweet potato shoestrings on top of that, and then put more kimchi mayo on our top bun before crowning it over the sweet potatoes, and now you have a Michelin Star Burger, which is absolutely dripping in juice. Now, which of these burgers are better? Well, let's review our 3 categories. In terms of time it takes to make, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that the Michelin Star Burger took way longer. You have to make every single part of the burger from scratch, and in order to keep myself sane, I broke it down to multiple days worth of cooking. Whereas the home-style burger was super quick to make in comparison, and I honestly think any beginner cook could make this without too many issues. So in terms of time to make, the home-style burger is way easier and more practical. Now, in terms of looks, I think the Michelin Burger wins this. there's just a whole lot more going on. You can see all the different layers of flavor, whereas the home-style burger is more on the simplistic route. Now, I will say the cross-section for the home-style burger, I think looks better than the cross-section of the Michelin Star Burger. But I will say that's probably my fault. I made a few mistakes in forming the burger, and if this was truly a Michelin-style burger, the whole burger would look absolutely perfect, including the cross-section. So I'm gonna give the victor for the battle of looks to our Michelin-style burger. But now let's talk about the most important factor, which is taste. And let me be clear here, by the way. Both these burgers taste absolutely phenomenal. They're both insanely good, and if you're gonna offer either one of them to me at any given time of the day, I'm eating that thing on the spot. But I am gonna give you guys a clear winner, though let me be clear that this is just a preference for me. But I think the home-style burger tasted a little better than the Michelin Star Burger. There's just a nostalgia to it when biting into a simple smash burger that just has American cheese and a nice simple burger sauce that just tastes amazing. The Michelin Burger was really good too, and honestly, if it was a smash burger as well, it'll probably hold its own a little better. The kimchi chili crisp mayo and the pickles and the buns and the sweet potato shoestrings all tasted phenomenal, but in the end of the day, it's just a burger, and for me personally, I prefer more of a simplistic burger than something that's more complicated. But again, that being said, I will eat either of these two burgers on the spot without a question. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps this channel out more ways than you realize, so I'd appreciate any support you guys can provide. If you want to see more videos like this, YouTube's currently recommending what's perfectly suited for you and your taste. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.